I had a moment where I had to stop and say, do I want to sit behind a computer screen the rest of my life, or do I want to go outside and make an impact in the world? And I raised just peaked $50,000 in corporate sponsorships, looking to get over $1 million this next year in grants.
A former software developer, Andrew decided that he didn't want to sit behind a desk for the rest of his life. He wanted more freedom and more impact, and that's exactly what he's built. Only 8 months into the collective, he has 3 to 4 clients on average and has won $100K in grant funding and raised $40K in corporate sponsorships. He also decided in the process of all of this to start his own nonprofit and is really becoming an expert in leveraging grant funding with corporate sponsorship giving. Meet Andrew. Andrew, welcome. I am so excited to dig into some of your wins today and just share about your unicorn journey.
It's been an exciting ride.
When you joined the collective, on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable were you with grant writing?
0. I was a software developer in the whole technical space, so I didn't know anything about grant writing.
What drew you to the collective? Why were you like, this is the next phase for me?
I had a moment where I had to stop and say, okay, I've been in the technical space my whole career. Here I just taught myself Python. I was getting into machine learning and AI algorithms and that kind of stuff. And then I sat down and said, do I want to sit behind a computer screen the rest of my life, or do I want to go outside and make an impact in the world? And it was a big struggle back and forth because of my internal selfishness, plus also everything else. But eventually chose to make a bigger impact on the world. Started checking out what was available out there. I found you guys on YouTube, followed the whole video series. That was kind of how it got me in there.
You're a serial entrepreneur. The freelancing aspect probably didn't make you uncomfortable.
No, not at all. I've been doing that for more than a decade. Even if you're going into a new world, like, you just have to trust yourself. You will get through it.
You've been in the collective for a bit now. How confident are you now in your grant writing skills?
Now I'm doing pretty good. I did suffer through some struggles early on. I'm self-inflicted. It's just part of the learning process. That was the biggest issue. Once you start winning, especially the bigger grants, you build a lot more confidence, and then you can just kind of go forward and doing whatever it is you want to do.
What was the hard part of the learning journey?
You're so excited to get a client, especially when it's early on. This client that hired me, the program had been running for 15 years, gave me a 2-week deadline to write a grant. I was like, yeah, sure, I could do that. What I didn't know was how much information was still in her head and not out anywhere. There wasn't enough detail to put into the grant to win the grant. Obviously, we didn't get the grant. My actual writing style and quality was called into question. So that kind of hurt the confidence a little bit. That client turned out to be pretty toxic anyways. And even though they wanted me to continue to write grants for them, I let them go.
We were in a situation where we'd written the whole federal grant, and at the last moment, we changed something, and it had this ripple effect because we were doing it at such late notice, and it really was 2 parts of fault. The client did request the change very, very late, but it was also us going like, okay, we'll make that change. There should be a discussion there of this is the potential risk. Turned out to be true. We also lost that grant because there was too many confusing elements in the end where it contradicted itself, and it just made it feel like you actually didn't have all the information needed to actually implement the grant, which the funder saw.
If I had followed the instructions of my training in the collective, then this wouldn't have happened.
Sometimes we just got to learn the hard way, though. You just won your first state grant for $90,000. How did that feel? And then how did you celebrate?
It felt really good. That was probably the turning point for me. I started winning some small stuff, but it wasn't really into that. The state grant, the amount of effort I put into the attention to detail to make sure everything was right. I graded myself objectively off the rubrics, all of the things. I was like, okay, I have to be in the top half scoring. Now it's just a matter of how much money are they going to give to everybody. Felt confident about it going into it. It was really great that everything I was thinking came true, even in the amount of money we were getting, because it wasn't the total ask, but I knew that that's all we were going to get. Celebrating some dinner and some wine, and it was a big step forward on, okay, that feather's in my hat, and I've done it once, I can do this as many times as I need to do it.
A lovely amount of money. And that's why Meredith and I sometimes think that government grants in general sometimes are actually easier because you know the rubric. Like, you can actually try to score yourself before you even go. And some of the foundation grants are like, what are you scoring me on?
The grant I lost was a foundation grant, and they could not articulate what they were looking for. It was one of those read between the lines things, but the client didn't know how to do that, and I wasn't talking to the funder.
You are working with multiple clients. How many clients do you have now?
3 or 4 clients.
How did you get 3 to 4 clients in 8 months? What has been your strategy?
I did some instructional interviews. I actually use those a lot to help me get connected to other things. In our area, there's a foundation that manages all of the family foundations. My informational interviews revealed that they existed, and then how to get in and start talking to them. One of the big things that I learned, you are a good grant writer, all of your business comes referrals, and your time is going to be packed. I really focused on maximizing what I could get from each client, and I ended up getting referrals based off of those. I really just took care of them.
Francine just posted in Circle that she didn't build her website until she hit 100K in revenue because the referrals came in. The organic networking framework worked. You do well for your client, they reward you. It's awesome. Your unique element is that you're also building a nonprofit on the side. Do you want to talk about that and how the two kind of intermix with each other?
I realized I'm raising money for other people for their causes, but I don't necessarily love their causes. That's why a lot of us specialize. So I decided I can just start my own nonprofit and actually raise money for the causes that are personally important to me. I set up my nonprofit and I got it tax exempt. I started to write some grants and then realized I need my $990 for the first year before I can really write the big grants. There was a bunch of small grants that I could go ahead and get. And so I went after those, and then I focused on corporate sponsorship. And the big part about that, especially with the crossover, was a lot of the skills from grant writing is going to be in the proposals for the corporate sponsorship. I was able to utilize a lot of those skills over, and I raised just peaked $50,000 in corporate sponsorships.
That's also the organic networking framework in action because you're talking to people and asking for something that they would like to do and that helps you out. It's amazing how much relationships matter in all of these aspects. Why are you here? Why are you doing all this?
The why originally was just money, revenue, freedom, sit at home and do what I want to do and not have to commute every day. That was a big, big why. I had done that for too long. After that, once I got the nonprofit going, now it's about the mission of the profit. Have a focus for all of the outlets that I want to go into and all the things that we're doing. It's cliche to say we're making such an impact on the world, but like we are actually doing really good things. I don't pay myself out of the nonprofits. All of that money raised is going straight into the services that we're providing in the programs.
I have no doubt that you're going to build an empire in whatever way that looks for you.
Absolutely. I know I'm looking to get over $1 million this next year in grants.
$1 million in grants for your clients and the organizations and your own nonprofit.
No, $1 million just for my nonprofit.
Just for yours. Okay. Do you have a goal for your clients as well?
A little bit harder because it's once I really get going with a nonprofit, I may just be writing for my nonprofit and I will hand off my clients to probably some people in the collective.
Hey, okay. Well, I can't wait to see what version 2 looks like in 2025. And I know we'll have a part 2 then. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.